Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new Stranded Alien Dawn live stream. My name is Jens. I am part of the community team here at Frontier and it is my pleasure to be your host as we introduce you to the free jungle update which is coming to Stranded Alien Dawn very shortly. And I am so excited to show you guys some of the brand new mechanics and features and the new region and all of the cool stuff that is coming in this new update. I should mention right off the top that this particular live stream has been pre-recorded, so I will not be responding specifically to things happening in chat. However, myself and the rest of the community team will be active in Twitch chat and over on YouTube to answer any queries or comments you may have. So thank you so much, me from the future. So we're gonna talk about the free jungle update today. We'll be showcasing all the new content and all the new features and mechanics that are included in the free update. We're gonna talk new region and all of its trimmings. We're gonna display some new gameplay features, specifically work areas and survivor tools. We're gonna talk about a brand new survivor. And we're going to touch on some other things as well that you're only going to find out about towards the very end of the stream. So make sure you stick around for that. Next up is the introductions of my lovely guests. Joining me from across the World Wide Web is our good friends over at Haemimont Games. It is none other, once again, lovely to have them back, Bisser and Kali. Welcome, guys. How's it going?
Hey, guys.
It's good to have you back.
Hey Jens, hey everyone, great to be here. Greetings from the past, I think. Feeling a bit like Harry Seldon here.
Yeah, we're sort of the audio log.
Forthcoming crisis.
Yeah, we're the audio log warning people of what's about to happen, kind of.
And for those of us that haven't met us, I'm Bisser from Haemimont Games, and here is Kali.
Hi everyone.
And it's, yeah, like I said, it's good to have you back. You're always happy to join us here on stream whenever we have new things to talk about. And we definitely have new things to talk about today. So there's a new update coming out. We're going to touch on that later. But right now, it's been about 2 months, at least at the time of this going live. It's been about 2 months since Stranded Alien Dawn came out. How's it been? I mean, I'm assuming it's been busy for you guys. I mean, I've been keeping up with what people are saying on the internet. You've been keeping up with what people are saying on the internet. How are you feeling now that we are 2 months out of the 1.0 release and you're about to release a new update?
Well, first, we are super excited to be here and see you play with this incredible new upcoming update.
Mm.
And we are also excited to see people's responses on the game. Um, and yeah, as you mentioned, we are keeping track of all the comments, all the amazing screenshots that everyone shares. And yeah,
As with every release of one of our games, it's a very special time. It's also really hectic time.
Hmm.
Uh, we are, as usual, a little bit surprised that the game doesn't crash on launch.
That just
Just
means you've
kidding,
done
of
a good
course.
job.
This is one of the best releases we've ever had. This has been some of the first releases for some of our team members. Kudos to them.
Hmm.
Really happy with that as well. And It's been an incredibly emotional period for us. We looked at the reactions of the players, but we also continued working on the game, working on the free jungle update. We've also had uh, quite some fun, and we were really surprised by some of the things that happened.
Okay.
For me, what I really didn't believe was possible at all, and was really amazed to experience, is that when I found out that some of the players have lost their mechs in the environments that we've created. I never thought that possible. And Once we reach the point of making a post-mortem on the game, I will be sure to include this in, because this was something that we never conceived there. So apologies for making the mechs hard to find. People weren't supposed to lose them. But we'll look into this and hopefully introduce some kind of a fix for that.
no, it
That's
happens. It happened to me as well. So if you lose your mic, it's fine.
just a big
Yeah.
whiteboard with a note that says "if mechs." You find mech button or something like that. Just something very easy and simple. I don't know. Sometimes you lose a bunch of crops, and sometimes you lose a giant robot among the trees. It happens,
Yes,
you know. Or
what could possibly go
robot
wrong?
robot platform. So let's for you since the launch. What has been the sort of highlight for the both of you as it's been as you know launch has been happening, and then the 2 month period after it?
Well, as you can see, we've been quite busy. As you will see, we've
Obviously,
been
yeah.
we've been quite busy with this update, and also we've continued to work on making improvements on the game and just keeping track that the community is happy, and we also try to fix some issues that occur. We have some pretty funny bugs going on.
Yeah, that's right. Some of the internal ones are hilarious. Two things I would love to mention. Two things here. First of all, I'm genuinely proud of the quality of the release that the team has pushed through. It's an achievement. Every time it's an achievement, but specifically Stranded has been um, a remarkable um, milestone for us in that regard. And second and most interesting, as usual, when we put out a game, there is a list of all the things that we want to do and believe should be in the game, but for some reason couldn't make it at release. And after release, we continue to work on the list that we believe in, but we're also constantly watching what the players are saying, what they're wanting, what bugs are they experiencing.
Mm.
And with Stranded, there was so much of an overlap between what the players have been saying and what we had on our internal list, that I believe that this actually means that the game has found its audience, or that the
Definitely.
devs are pretty much in sync with the general attitude of the players, which is it's always a pleasure, but the degree to which this has materialized in front of my eyes has been surprising.
No, I would say I agree. There's been every time we've announced whenever we have announced an update for the game, whether that be in early access or for this, people have said, yes, this is what I wanted, and this is what I was expecting. So, and we're all about trying to make the players happy. So I would definitely agree with that. So, But yeah, let's talk about the new update. It is coming out tomorrow. I'm very excited for this to come out. I mean, you obviously said that you were very excited as well. So I think then that we can just jump straight into the game and take a look and see what it all looks like. So here we are in the Saltu region. Saltu? What is your sort of preferred pronunciation of the name?
I think you're pronouncing it correctly, like
All right,
Saltu.
Saltu. Okay, cool, wonderful. Just checking to see if I get it correctly. So the Saltu region is a brand new region that we are adding to Stranded Alien Dawn with this free update. And I'm gonna just pass it over to you to introduce it further and tell us a bit more about what players can expect from this new region and this new environment.
Well, we cannot wait to show this region. It's amazing. It looks very well. We've added so many new features, new plants, new views that you can explore, new animals and plants that needs to be discovered. So we do believe this is something very special for the game, and it adds a lot of new elements. And basically, you can even enjoy taking just a walk through the amazing places, just like you're walking through the nature, and enjoy.
I would say think jungle, think plants, think vegetation, think green things, think rain, think mud, humidity, things that can eat you, sicknesses that can get you, tough, challenging conditions where you can die out of heat stroke or out of something that is quietly lurking in the green bush right next to you. So there you have it. Stranded Alien Dawn new region. It looks different. It feels different. It plays different. We can't wait to see how you fare with it.
I definitely agree on all of those counts. It feels different, it plays different, it looks quite different. I think in terms of we can just like you mentioned, it is definitely more, it is jungle themed. It has a lot of sort of lush green plants to it. There's some new plants that players will have to discover. There's some new wildlife that players will have to discover. There's some new seasons and some unique weather patterns that I think are really interesting and cool as well. But I think we can maybe start off with just sort of checking out what's happening here. So yes, we are in the crash landing scenario here. As you can probably tell, we've set up a I'm pretty happy with how this camp has turned out. There's plenty of plants here and things that grow. There's plenty of food in case my survivors get hungry. There's a fair bit of them now. I started out with 4, and then 2 more came in via walk-ins, which is something that I haven't seen in quite a while I've been playing this game. So that's been a lot of fun as well. And as you can tell, I'm surrounded by palms and plants and sort of lushness and greenery and all of that stuff. And there's some, as you can see from the side of the screen here, there's some stuff happening to both my plants and to my survivors, and we will get to those very, very shortly. So as we mentioned earlier, there's some jungle-themed flora, fauna, and landmarks, of course. Plenty of new landing sites across the board for all the different scenarios. There may or may not be some new expeditions in here as well. But I think we can start with maybe the obvious one. So there's new plants, new wildlife. What can you tell me about some of these new plants that we see in the Saltu region right in front of us here?
Well, as you can notice, most of the plants are unfamiliar. You might find something that you're already aware of. For example, some of the plants will be common for this region and the other ones, but you will see a lot of palm trees. You will see new types of bushes, and some of them might actually be super useful. For example, this purple leaf plant is amazing. You can use it to build these cool new shelters, different types of fences, and also you can learn how to produce food out of them.
Yes.
Which is awesome, and it's definitely a plant that you will want to cultivate.
I believe I have it in my research here that I can make some purple leaf cloth if I need to. There's also, there's some new recipes that are coming in with this update as well. We will get to those very, very shortly. But I like the fact that we're given a new building material in the purple leaf ferns, or the purple leaf over here, which I have also started cultivating in my base here. They give both purple leaf and sticks, so it's very, very helpful. And go on.
It was only natural since the environment is new, so what your survivors will find and commonly use is different than compared to the other environments. This is what we believe would happen if you get stranded for real on an alien planet and you have to make your way to survive.
Yeah, there's going to be things that look familiar but also are different in a certain way, but you can always count on a tree giving you tree, for example, or wood, I mean, when you when you chop it down. But I love the fact, for example, that you can now build palm tree fields that give you wood, but then also if you decide to, let's see if I can find one. There was one over here. There are also certain coconut palms that you can cultivate or you can harvest for coconuts. And coconuts work the same way other types of fruit do. So if you want to, you can create coconut wine. So if you're playing the trading outpost scenario, it's probably a very good trading resource to just harvest as many coconuts as you want, turn them into wine, and then just send up a signal to whatever trading vessel is nearby and go like, hey, I've got some rare coconut wine that you can trade. Do you want to buy some? I think that's a really cool little touch.
And this is really one of the things that I love about Stranded is just because giving the player some basic starting tools, and they can imagine, the whole chain and possibilities and what to do with them. I never thought of that, to be honest.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Well, now I've given you an idea for maybe your next playthrough, and maybe some ideas for the people playing at home as well. So there's, I believe there, in my notes at least, it says that there are 11 new plants coming to this region, and there's 11 different types of plants you can find in the region. Some of them new, some of them might be familiar. One of my favorites might be the dandelion tree, which gives you dandelion spores, which can be made to create healing balms. It can also be made to brew tea from, and there's a lot of different types of uses for the dandelion spores as well. And if you look around, you might also see some familiar plants and animals. For example, we've got some grain cob here. We've got the buttermelons, of course. Got to have the buttermelons. We've got some giant's grass, and we've got some glitter caps. And right over here, I've got some dandelion trees. So that actually brings me very neatly to my next point, because clicking on this dandelion tree field, it says blight for plants. So the jungle obviously is a very different environment from the other environments that we've had in the game so far. And as I alluded to previously, there's some different hazards that people have to contend with. So can you tell me a bit about what this blight is and how it works in the game?
Yeah, basically this is a plant sickness that can spread very easily and corrupt your crops. And you need to tackle it by cutting the sick plants so it won't spread, because it could just spread very quickly and demolish all of your plants very quickly. So you have to keep an eye out for this particular disaster.
I would only add that the Saltu environment is not kind not only to survivors but also to plants itself.
Yes.
So.
You can even see some of the sort of particle effects here. I believe started happening once the Xenophora blight kicked in on my plants. I just saw this thing come in, and then it just said, 4 plants have gotten the Xenophora blight, and I realized, oh no, something's happening here. And I really like the spores that are coming in, as if to say, hey, there's some action that you need to take, and you need to take it right away. Luckily, it was only my dandelion field here that was stricken by it. But as you can see, for now, as you can see, my growth rate is 0. And then if this hits multiple plants, then I am going to have not such a good time with my plants here. So luckily, one of my survivors has a very high farming skill, so she should hopefully carry out that task very, very soon. I do think that also can bring me quite neatly to my next point, which there are some other hazards here as well. Right at the beginning of this, I believe 5 of my 6 survivors all had some sort of illness, which there's some new hazards and dangers in terms of just being in terms of just sicknesses that your survivors can get here. So I'm gonna just click on Ember Griffin here first, who is suffering from swarm fever. And so, what was the decision behind adding in these new diseases and the Xenoflora blight in this update?
Well, basically, if you are in a region similar to a jungle that's very humid, very warm, diseases could spread easily. So we wanted to add this type of element also to to this region, and you can see that this fever can be spread among survivors, and it requires antibiotics, and this is something that you also need to be careful with, and like in those specific types of temperatures, this could happen very easily. And yeah, like what you could do is just to make sure you're prepared in the beginning to have those type of antibiotics and medicines available, because this is something definitely you will need if you are in a similar situation yourself.
Definitely.
Also, it's not just a bunch of sickness and disease that is waiting the player in the new environment. The weather patterns are different, the temperatures are different. Things will degrade much faster as compared to other regions because of the humidity. The whole we've designed the whole environment to feel differently, and of course with the new flora, there is also new fauna, but there was an overarching concept that things will be more lush, more green, more colorful, but at the same time more menacing. And as you would um, go around and feel differently in a jungle as compared to a temperate region on our planet, this should be also reflected in the environments that we are giving to the player. At some point, we've also played with other aspects of the survivors' routines. There is many little tweaks that add up to the overall feeling that this is a different region of the planet, that certain things will be the same but others will feel completely different.
There was very much a feeling of when is something going to happen as I was playing through this and sort of setting up this, preparing the save game here. I was always wondering, oh, when are they going to get X disease, or when is something going to kick in that I haven't foreseen yet? And then suddenly one person got sick, and another person got sick, and another person got sick, and it was kind of it was exciting. It added like an additional element of, oh, like I don't know when something is going to come, so I should be prepared for it and try to have as much, antibiotics is always important in this game, but it feels even more important in the Saltu region in case any of these diseases kick in here. And
Absolutely. And as the player encounters these different challenges, he will find out that you have to manage the activities and the time of your survivors differently as compared to other regions. So the blight, for example, the blight is a fine example for that, because there is only one way to basically try to manage it. It is going to come. It is going to affect your crops. It is going to affect the wild plants, and there is only one thing that you can do with that, and it's just try to sanitize a region and address any vegetation that gets affected by the blight. But suddenly you have a totally new type of task on your hands for the time of your survivors, and this will challenge your established playstyle routines, which is the effect that as developers we're after.
yeah. So right
Yeah,
now, for example,
basically.
oh yeah, sorry, go on, Kali.
I was just going to say that in some situations just need to drop everything else and let your survivors perform the most important task immediately. So yeah, for not just this type of disasters, but also other things that you will encounter, this region will definitely try to catch you off guard.
For sure. And obviously, the second everyone got sick, they all immediately went to bed, and any sort of productivity just grinded to a halt, basically,
Yep.
while my dedicated healer was trying to run around and was starting to run around and make sure that everyone was feeling better. And so right now we've got the swarm fever here has been suppressed, but it will need one last treatment course after 24 hours, and then depending on the level of infection, this will have an impact on how many treatments the person will actually need. So I think it's a neat and interesting mechanic, and I can't wait to see how people end up dealing with it, especially on a lot higher difficulties of the game. So it's been a lot of fun to play through all this and discover it on my own before we went on this here stream and started recording. So you mentioned earlier, Bisser, that temperatures and weather and things like that are going to be different, and some observant viewers may have noticed that up in the left corner there's a returning sort of feature from Desertum that you might have recognized. We're currently in the wet season. Later on, we're going to be in the dry season in this particular playthrough. And the temperature is kind of fluctuating between 33 and 34 degrees. It's almost like last summer happened again. At one point, I had a heat wave that almost hit like 45 degrees, and everyone was sweating, everyone was miserable. It was just warm and bad and awful and everything. So it is temperature is definitely something that you need to look out for. But now that we're in the wet season, what's going to happen?
A lot of stuff, I'd say. First of all, any form of temperature control or air conditioning is relatively much more important in Saltu as compared to the Sabrias region, for example. Then, when the rains hit, this will affect the happiness of your survivors as well, because they will need to go out and do some tasks, but they will be soaking wet, as you would expect them to be in such an environment. This will have effect on increased vegetation growth, obviously, which in turn may not be just a passive boost that you've encountered in the other regions, but will also increase the importance of dealing with any plants affected by the blight, and so on and so forth. Kelly, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, I would suggest being extremely careful with lightning strikes, definitely during wet season when you have a lot of storms. So you will want to cover all areas that are workspaces. So you just make sure that your survivors are not being hit that many times by a lightning, because some conditions they will be very hard to recover from.
One of the first things that I did in this particular file was to build a lightning rod, because my survivors have been hit one too many times by lightning. So I thought, you know what, let's get this fixed right away. But yeah, no, we already see Krista here, for example, has suffered a negative effect specifically from it's a bit hot, so they're sweating, and they're kind of miserable because it is warm. It is literally 36, 38, almost 40. Well, it's 47 degrees near the campfire under this roof here. So it is definitely a warm environment. And as you mentioned previously, Bisser, that also has a bit of an impact on some of the things that we have here, some of the food that we have, and some of the perishables. Like there are cooked emergency rations that are decayed and rotting over where Xander is located. But we're going to ignore that for now. And he'll be fine. He's got coconuts to eat, so I think he'll be okay. And yeah, as you mentioned, like temperature will cause plants to sort of grow all year round, because there's not really there's not a winter season, so your plants will continue to grow. But obviously, the Xenoflora blight will try to put a bit of a stop to some of that stuff. But it has been fun whenever the rain has started coming. I've just been looking at all my plants and just sort of rubbing my hands together, seeing like, oh, the growth rate has spiked to over 100%. and that's very good for me because I would like to have food and resources for my survivors. So it's been cool, and also there's no use for winter clothing anymore because there's not a lot of chill in the air. But obviously, you will need to sort of go in the opposite direction and try to mitigate the extreme heat rather than the extreme cold, which I think is a cool sort of inversion of some of the mechanics that we've seen so far, at least. Okay, so there's some new wildlife here that people may have noticed. Two of them that I've tamed over here. These are the Noths. So, what can you tell me about the Noth?
Well, this is one of the new animal types that are in this region, and you basically can cultivate them for their produce manure, which is very useful if you want to craft fuel. And they're relatively easy to tame. And
Yeah,
what
all
is
I needed was
specific?
buttermelon, and I had that readily available. So I just walked up to it and said, "Hey, do you want to be my friend?" And then it said yes.
Yeah, and also they are like they spread around very fast. Like they have huge populations, which is like slightly different than the other regions. But yeah, this is just a cool new animal that you can have around and play with, and we think it looks awesome.
I think it looks very, very cute. It looks really good. It definitely seems, it definitely seems like something you could encounter on an alien planet for sure. There's a different creature as well that I think we can briefly talk about. It's here. It is the shogu, which is also one of the new plants here, which looks a bit like a sort of warthog creature, which I was also able to identify, but not able to tame, at least not yet, because I would need some different types of food that I haven't discovered yet. But yeah, the shogu being the sort of more, with the Noth being the herbivores and the shogu being the carnivores of the new creatures that you can find over in the Saltu region. I think the shogu looks really cool as well. It's a very sort of unique design on something that looks a bit like now I'm losing the word. Not a hedgehog. That's a different word, but the wild boar kind of stuff. Like those kinds of things. I don't know why I thought hedgehog. It's just brain.
I would definitely say when you go hunting for shogu, be well equipped. It's advisable.
For sure.
Has big teeth.
One thing that's cool about the shogu is that they will sometimes dig up chew roots if they are tamed, because I think chew roots are one of the more difficult to find resources in the Salto environments.
Yeah, you won't encounter them often, so you can use the animal, so you can get chew roots in this region.
Yeah, so it might be a good idea to tame a shogu or two, just in case. All right, well, heading back to our camp here, it looks like pretty much everyone has gotten over their swarm fever, but they will need another treatment course very, very soon. But I'm very happy that they were able to get through that. Finally, before we move on, there's been a bit of a change to insect nests in the Salto region, because in the other regions, the shrieker nests had nanocarbon in them, but this time around, that's a little bit different. What was the reason you made that specific decision?
Well, we changed the nests, so they have like different enemy right now, and they produce different type of resource. They produce silicon, and we believe that this type of danger is a bit different. Like the design of the attack, that is a bit different, and also we think that the scissor hands are like better for the overall appearance of the region as well. They're more specific, so yeah, it will be a different type of challenge.
We put a lot of efforts into the feel of threat that the players will have in the Salto region, and to make sure that this that the threat there feels different and plays different. And one of the changes that we made in tilting the game overall into this direction was the new nest. We wanted to give the player the feel that everything is colorful, everything is looking very beautiful from the outside, but the threat is there, and it's a different type. And this environment is actually threatening, even though it may look lush and rich. You have to make sure that you go above a certain level on your chains and resources availability to really feel comfortable here. And we just wanted to give the player that feeling and work on the challenges posed by the animals, on the animals attack, as Kali mentioned. And then the nests were just the next logical point to tweak.
And the nests will be a bit more difficult to spot, and the animals will be more aggressive.
I've tried to find some, and I still haven't found some in this immediate area here. So there's yeah,
It's
they're definitely
not
more difficult
whether
to spot.
you find them, it's whether they find you.
Luckily, so far they haven't been able to find me. So we'll see how it goes further down the line. But yeah, it's very interesting what you said about the whole sort of balance of sort of danger versus beauty, because that's sort of what I feel like a lot of jungle environments on Earth are all about, where you can find these very beautiful like insects and animals and all that, but they're also very, very deadly because they carry some sort of
Beautifully
poison
looking
or
snakes.
yeah, for example, yeah. So I think then that we can move on to talk about a brand new feature that's coming to the game, that's coming to sort of across the game in this update, and that is something called area flags and work areas. So if you've been paying attention or watching the stream, you can tell that this big square here is new, and this slightly smaller square is new, and this place where it says area 2 is new, and this area where it says home is new. And that is because I have set up area flags and work areas. So could you quickly explain what area flags are all about and the sort of how the work area system works?
Yeah, basically you can designate parts of the map, whether it's based on a resource or a place that you want to start first camp, and then if you decide to move or to chase another type of resource and cultivate it, you can select a few survivors and move them to another area that they can perform specific tasks in. So this is why we decided to create this feature. And you can see that you can create many areas and you can assign people to them, and they will change their portraits on top based on the areas.
It was one of the things that we had in our pipeline for quite some time. But interestingly for me, it was also recognized as something uh, desired by the community out there. And
Definitely.
basically, it was a perfect match because we were already wondering whether we should go into this direction or not. And what they allow is they give the players the freedom to designate different parts of the map as main areas for different survivors, effectively having outposts. And as you can see on the portraits, there is a bit of a wider space between the first two and the next four, and this is because the first two survivors are assigned to the different area as opposed to the next four ones.
I did that. I did that with meaning, as it were. So I did that intentionally, is what I'm trying to say, to sort of showcase what it will look like when a person is assigned to specific areas. So
I just can't help it, but I have to challenge the things that you need to. I want to show to the players.
of course, because Ember and Melody are not assigned to a specific work area. They are sort of globally assigned, which means that anywhere I tell them to, any task I tell them to do that they have in their priorities list, they will carry out regardless of which area it is in. Whereas Xander, for example, will only do work inside this specific box. So if I tell him to, for example, oh, can you go mine the stone, he will stay within his designated work area. Same with Emmeline, Krista, and Lara here, who will not go outside these 4 lines right here. But Ember and Melody, they can sort of go anywhere they want to go without necessarily following the specific lines. But yeah, as you probably saw earlier, if I tried to move it, this stays with me, so I can see what a new area would look like. I could also very easily increase the size and decrease the size of the particular work area if I want to. I can rename it. I can assign people. I can call people to it. It feels very intuitive. It feels very sort of easy to work with, at least for me, who's not always the best at assigning people sort of work things to do. When I first started playing around with it, I realized that I had sort of assigned tasks outside the area, and then eventually I saw, well, they're not doing this thing. Oh, it's because yeah, obviously they're not doing this thing because they're literally forced not to do it.
And just to make sure that our viewers can understand the difference, there is one exception, and it's direct orders.
Yes.
You can give a direct order, and the direct order will not have such a limitation. So via direct orders, you can ask your survivors to do stuff outside of their designated areas. But if you, for example, if you have designated this tree for normal cutting and not via direct order, then it would only be addressed by Ember and Melody as the ones that have the global area.
Yeah, exactly.
Assigned.
But yeah, right now I told Lara to, hey, go cut down
Yeah.
that tree, please, and she will immediately take care of it. But once this task is done, she will go back to the work area and only carry out tasks within that specific area. And essentially, it kind of allows you to set up management of multiple. Well, you're managing multiple areas, like I am doing here. If Xander, for example, who is kind of alone right now, if he had other people in here, he could have then people finding food for him or cooking food for him. But he's kind of, he has to take care of that stuff on his own, I believe.
A place for everyone and everyone in his place.
Exactly. And I do think also, for example, if something like a thunderstorm happens, or there are certain events that you wouldn't want your survivors to be outside in, you could very easily just use the work area, sort of tighten it into your inside areas, and then just say, call people, and then they will stay within their specific area and only there, for example. So that's a way to keep them away from any dangers that might come for them from the air, for example. So I think it's a cool addition to the game, and it's also, as we've said before, it is something that the players have asked for as well. So it is now something that can be used within Stranded Alien Dawn. And if you decide to put your survivors just within their home, there are new leisure activities or new leisure things that they can now avail themselves of. There's a new bench press that allow them to become stronger. There is one of my favorites is the VR headset where they can play video games. There's an arcade machine where they can play video games as well. And I think it's a fun little idea where someone just decides within the survival situation, I'm just gonna make a circuitry board and a television, and we're gonna have an arcade machine, and it's gonna be great.
At some point in development, I was thinking whether this was a manifestation of what we went through with the COVID lockdown. Just stay at home, do your fitness, play some games, work a bit, stay within your designated areas.
It could be. It could definitely be. And so that was the area flags and the work areas, which you can use to, better manage your people, better manage your different types of bases if you'd like to have multiples of them, and where people live and work and all of that stuff. So hopefully you'll have plenty of fun with that. Another new mechanic, another new piece of content that is now being added to the game with the jungle update are something called survivor tools, which I'm very excited about as well. So I'm going to hand it over to you guys again. Can you talk briefly about what what survival tools are and how they work.
Well, we have various tools that can help with harvesting, with cutting plants. We have different tools for helping during combat, like flares and night goggles or grenades even. We have some tools that can protect you from lightnings. So we've added this extra slot.
Sorry. I want to roll back. We have grenades. Like grenades.
You heard it here first. Grenades. That's it.
It's just small handcrafted grenades. but
Still grenades.
Still grenades. That's that is actually a very good point. We should mention that. So there's now as you said, Kali, there's now a new sort of inventory slot up here in the upper right-hand corner where you can add in the survival tools after you have done the necessary research for them, of course, and you've created them. And this is where your survival tools will go to live. And necessary research will have to be done. I believe it is toolsmithing, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that you can then individually create. And we will look at them very, very shortly, so don't worry about that. But Lara here, for example, has the harvesting tools, which help with harvesting, cutting, mining speed, that sort of thing. Basically makes things happen a little bit faster, which, if that's something that you're looking to increase, then that is the tool you should add in. What was some of the, how do you decide what sort of survivor tools you make and add to the game, and sort of what was the idea behind adding this overall thing to Stranded?
We wanted to give the player the opportunity to better specialize their survivors, and if you are the type of player that prefers to keep a different set of a specific set of tasks for specific survivors, then the tools will definitely come in handy. The ones that we didn't mention are the survivor kits, which is a really great one that combines emergency rations, a portable bedroll, and I believe some medicines as well.
No, just the rations.
Okay, earlier version in my mind. Sorry. Which aim is to make long-term food expeditions on the map more bearable by the survivor. And excuse me for repeating myself, but we also have grenades.
You also have grenades, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Which,
you can imagine the interesting player-induced mayhem during combat.
There is definitely going to be some interesting stuff here. I think the survival kit is very, very good for especially those regions where sometimes certain resources are a lot farther away and you need someone to, for example, go do the observation task for a piece of cloth blossom, or maybe you're in Desertum and there's a tree very far away that you need to plant, that you want to observe in order to plant it. So the fact that you now have 10 emergency rations and a portable bedroll for your survivors to use, I think will sort of open up the map a little bit more and allow players and survivors to venture out more as well, to see more things. I think it's a neat little addition. Oh, let's also, I think, go back and see what else we have. So there's now a new craft tools button in the wooden workbench where you have at least some of your tools. Like you said, you have grenades, a set of grenades that can be manually thrown, and these go into the grenade slot, and I'm assuming if there's an enemy nearby, they will just be chucked at whatever is nearby, correct?
Yeah, you can equip them and just point towards the direction that you want to throw the grenade.
Okay.
And yeah, you can use them, like, for example, one kit has like 20 uses, so you have a few of them. And they also stun the enemies.
Okay, interesting. And obviously the follow-up question is, do the grenades hurt the survivors as well?
I've never actually tried throwing grenades to other survivors myself.
Well, that is something for other people to discover, then, I believe.
Yes, let's leave that to the players to enjoy.
Leave that for the players to enjoy, absolutely. So there's plenty more to talk about, actually, because we talked about the survival kit, we talked about the harvesting tools, which are incredibly handy if you have a dedicated farmer like I have here with Lara, for example, or if you have someone like Xander who's just kind of been shoved off into his own little corner of the world and told to just kind of deal with it. There's also the good luck charm, which will increase survivor happiness overall, and that can be made from pretty much anything. And what I also like are the night vision goggles, which make it easier to see at night. It makes for more accurate shooting, which is absolutely great for one of those when you have that nighttime raid. Shout out to people who like to use that specific moon. I think it's Nyx, where you have the nighttime animal attacks. The respirator mask will make it a lot easier to go out during toxic air events, dust storms, things like that. So, for example, if you don't want to just shunt everyone inside your base, you can just give them respirator masks, and they should be okay to go outside. And then, yeah, the grenades, as Bisser keeps pointing out, there should also be some signal flares, I believe, that your survivors can throw, which would also help to light up a surrounding area. So I feel like with with the night vision goggles and with the grenades and with the signal flares, you can, I mean, for something like the military scenario, I feel like the applications kind of just speak for themselves.
Yep.
But these work for all the different types of scenarios, all the different types of maps as well. So both the area flags and the survivor tools are available across the board in the game. So there's nothing, all you need to do is do the research, and then you can craft them, and then boom, you're done, really.
I also really like the good luck charm, because it's the one thing that doesn't do anything physically, but it can, we can survive on conviction alone, and anything that can help that premise is a welcome addition in my book.
I mean, it's been quite helpful, because normally I think all of my survivors would be quite miserable by now, but their general happiness is pretty high, and their sort of potential happiness also very, very high. And so it's been a boon for me as I've been playing, to be honest. So it's been quite fun. So I have some good luck charms in case I ever need them in the sort of back pocket, as it were. So it's been very helpful in my particular game, and I'm sure it's going to be very helpful for some players out there as well.
Yeah, as I said, you probably can't survive on conviction alone, but you can certainly try.
I will always try, is what I will do. So what I'm actually gonna try to do here is, let's see, if I can set Xander to global. I'm gonna try to have him transport some certain things to a different area. Maybe we can craft a grenade or something like that. But for now, let's head on over back to this here camp here. So yeah, survival tools and area flags, as I said, are available in all the different types of scenarios. And I'm sure a lot of people are already asking this, so I'm going to ask it straight up. The survival tools, can they be traded in the trading scenario? Could you potentially buy grenades from a military ship and sell them back signal flares or respirator masks?
Only if the ships require them, I think.
Okay, interesting.
So
interesting.
yeah, as usual, you can only sell the resources that the ship requires, not all of your resources.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, there's one thing that I should mention also. There are umbrellas that you can make, electromagnetic umbrellas, which will help keep people dry when they're out in the rain. So if there is a rainstorm and someone absolutely has to go out, maybe give them a nice little umbrella so they can keep dry and hopefully feel a little bit better about being out in the wetness, as it were. So that is those are some of the new recipes. One thing I also want to mention in terms of recipes, you can now make kimchi with purple leaf and dandelion spores, or at least the closest approximation of kimchi you can make on a alien planet in the wooden fermentation barrel, which I think it's a nice little touch. I like it. There are also some additional recipes that we're not going to talk about, but that you can discover in this free update. So now let's talk a bit about our new survivor here. We've sort of semi-touched on her before, but we've got Melody Adeyemi, our new survivor here. And as we've mentioned on previous live streams, you usually tend to, whenever you add a new survivor that's sort of connected to a free update, you there's always a theming to the person that you're adding to them, and she's a dedicated healer. Her healing stat is fairly high. It's also what she's interested in, and so I'm gonna just go out on a limb and guess that the number of new diseases sort of inspired a better and dedicated healer to be added to the game. Am I correct?
Yeah, at some point. And also, she's a great character because when you enter this new region, you need to discover all those new plants and animals, and she's pretty good at intellect as well. And she's also interested in intellect, which is a huge benefit for your team.
Yes.
Because she will love doing observation and research tasks.
Yep. So right now she is performing a bit of research because I think I have both. Is research, observation, and healing are sort of her main prioritized tasks. So right now, poor Krista is just standing around going, "Oh, what am I going to do now that she's doing my job for me?" But I like Melody really a lot as a character because, yeah, she will never fail a medical treatment. So that's why all of my swarm fever and stuff like that just went incredibly fast to be taken care of. But she will also occasionally motivate others to increase their manipulation efficiency, which I think is a cool little touch as well. And loves kimchi, loves playing arcade games, and with the new arcade machine, obviously that's going to be easy for her to do down the line if you're able to create one. So I think she's a very inspired choice for this particular region, and I'm sure that she's going to come in handy for some of those insane Chaos Moon runs that some of the community also like to do. So it's a very inspired choice. Okay. So that was Melody, the new survivor. Her, revered expert in the field of naturopathic medicine, and you can read her. You can, I believe, at the time of this going live, you will have learned more about Melody if you've been following us over on our social channels, and obviously you have the bio right here on the left side of the screen, and you will be able to read it once she's in the game tomorrow. Okay, so. A thing that I sort of alluded to earlier in the stream is something for people who love to take screenshots in Stranded Alien Dawn, and that is the new photo mode. So, yeah, I gotta ask. I mean, what inspired the photo mode to be a part of this particular update?
We have some experience with the photo mode from some of our previous titles, but specifically with Stranded, as I mentioned earlier, we really love going through the different screenshots that the players are making, and we just wanted to give the community a larger or more usable set of tools that they can really use to as a creativity boost and allow themselves better tools to have to share what they have built with everyone, with us in particular. So we'll keep looking for your screenshots out there. Give shout out for the best you can get and post on the forums. It's a tool that we believe ultimately can give the players the ability to share their thing and their base and their achievement with a wider audience, even one that is not familiar with the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of stuff here that people can do as well. Now, not only can they add different color filters in various different ways. There's a free camera that I was demonstrating earlier where you can have a lot of you can do a lot with the camera. You can get in quite close to some of these textures and some of these survivors as well, which I think is a great little option as well. I'm gonna see if I can.
I also really like the different options that if you have dabbled a little bit deeper in photography and who hasn't these days and age with so advanced cameras on our phones, you can play with field of view, you can play it with the depth of field, bloom strength, and just experiment and give us there you go. This is now a different looking kind of a shot, and it's still the game. So
Yeah, I really love that, and I can't wait to see some of the things that people. I mean, people are already taking gorgeous, gorgeous screenshots from Stranded Alien Dawn, and I can't wait to see what sort of things they end up taking with this stuff here, because there's a lot of stuff you can tweak. You can get the camera in real close. You can mess around with the field of view. You can do, as you can see, exposure, fog density, bloom strength, all of that stuff. It's a very cool little thing, and it will immediately save it to a place you can find in your on your computer, and then you can share it with your friends, share it with us over on the Steam forums, over on the Frontier forums, in the Discord if you want. We have a dedicated channel for that over there as well. So there's a lot to do with this photo mode, and we hope you enjoy using it. So I think then that we're sort of reaching the end here. Is there anything you want to mention that we haven't talked about in terms of this particular update? Anything specific about the Saltu region? Anything specific about the update itself that you want to call out and mention for people they should be aware of?
Oh no, just take a look around this beautiful region and enjoy, because when I tested out a photo mode, this was basically what I was doing for an hour, just going around taking cool screenshots.
Yep.
It was super exciting. So we hope you enjoyed as well.
I think then that we're gonna call it there, you guys. And first off, of course, I want to say a huge thank you to Bisser and Kali from Haemimont Games for joining me here on this here live stream. And we will. I mean, you will obviously be back in future live streams if there's stuff to talk about. And once again, thank you so much for
absolutely,
joining me
there will be
here.
stuff to talk about, I believe.
Thank you so much for watching this Stranded Alien Dawn live stream. I hope you've enjoyed all the stuff that we have coming to the game in the Jungle update. It is coming out for free tomorrow on everything. I should have mentioned that earlier, but it is on everything. On PC, on Xbox, on PlayStation. This update will be available for free for you out there. It just needs to be downloaded. Thank you so much to my lovely chat mod team for keeping it down in the chat. Thank you to myself and the rest of the community team for also helping out in the chat. Thank you to our producer Adam for helping us with this pre-recording and for getting it online. And of course, thank you to you for watching. And we will see you next time.